Okay, so thank you Sheffield Sparklers for inviting me here today. It's actually one of the first of these sorts of events that I've had the opportunity to come to. As we saw from the video, this is about the journey of Right2Education. Because we actually showed a little bit of the story behind it, it gives you a bit more time to actually go through some of the problems that we faced, so that you guys, with your own ideas and your own aspirations to start your own projects, you maybe learn from my experiences and our team's experiences, and develop your own projects from that. So take this as a case study of things you can sort of benefit from, our mistakes and the things that worked as well. As we just saw in the video, actually just a little note, it feels very strange to watch that video, because if you imagine hurdles, when you're enterprising, everything feels like hurdles, so you don't really see the whole picture sometimes. And just watching that video, which covers over 2.5, almost 3 years of work, it's very strange to see everything all at once in one 3-minute video, which I'm very thankful for Sheffield Sparklers to help put together. So that's just something just to note, because you can always, when you start projects, you can always get disheartened by the obstacles that you are faced with, but it's the fact that you can see beyond these hurdles, that you can you see what is possible, and you allow yourself to continue in that direction and not stop going. And let's do this sort of journey. So this is Right2Education. This is actually a logo that's from Palestine, because some of us as volunteers, we went to do some humanitarian work in Palestine with funded by the British government, and we worked in the University of Brisbane, and this is an idea that they had, because they had their own problems with education, as you're probably aware. And we came back to Sheffield, and we wanted to share what we experienced there, and we started in a school in Sheffield, and that's really where this journey begins. We started with an educational workshop, and just a note, as I mentioned, it's not too much the journey that's important, but the lessons we derive from them. Just from Right2Education, which is up there, and getting to this point, I had to email the head teacher and ask her if we could actually hold this project in her school. And it was a funny situation, because I had said in the email that there's a whole team that's working behind the whole project, and literally there's no team. There's no team at all. It was just me and one of my friends who came with me, met in Palestine, who came back. There wasn't a team. We weren't ready to actually initiate the project, and that's just how it starts. You have to, as Justine was saying, you have to really take that leap of faith. Sometimes, be a bit bold and courageous to start something, to develop your idea. So we did the first educational impact workshop, which was all about the educational prospects and things for students in a developing country, actually in Palestine, and comparing them with the opportunities that people have here. And the girls in this particular secondary girls' school in Sheffield were completely amazed that they had so many more opportunities than other people do around the world, and that helped inspire them. And they actually gave us some amazing feedback, and so did the head teacher. And they asked us, well, what's next? And in our mind, we were thinking, well, there wasn't a next, we were just doing one thing. But then that got us thinking, if we could do one thing and we could do it well, then what else is possible? So we developed a new project. This is called the Big Sister Project, and we got funding from Be Inspired, which is actually a funding application you can still apply for. It's by the government, and they're very keen to start with people who, they don't have any. The idea is they give you money, you have the idea, make it happen, kind of thing. And they were absolutely brilliant. They coach you through starting up as well. And we designed this Big Sister project because we had a meeting with the head teacher, asking them what the needs of the school were, and she was saying that some of them, lacked a bit of confidence, and we felt that with our vision of empowering young people, that we could get university students to mentor these young people in the school. So that's where the Big Sister project was sort of born, and it's been running every year since 2013. And we've had some amazing stories, as you can see from the video just before. But just again, lessons learnt. I remember when we were starting this project, I had a phone call with my mum, and I told her about the project and what we were doing and all these things are happening, and she was saying, why and who told you to do this? And I found that really funny. That's the thing with enterprise, no one really tells you to do something. As Justine was saying, it's something that comes from within, and with the video before actually, we had that big picture of heart and the social enterprise, and that's really what it is. It comes from the heart. And another lesson that we can just draw out from this is intentions. Actually, I'm going to save this little package of the lesson for the end of the this sort of slideshow. So let's see what happened after the Big Sister project. This was a little library project where we found that the girls in the school didn't have any access to books, and all the books they had were within the actual curriculum, and they didn't have their own library in the area. So we actually worked with a taxi driver who is absolutely amazing at DIY, and also we sent letters to all these different book companies in the UK, and they started sending us books from all over the place because they loved the idea of setting up a library for these young people. And we also salvaged in the sports hall. The school is not the best, well funded, which is why we work there. And in the sports hall, it's just, I wish I could show you the picture, but it's just full of absolute mess. All sorts of things, broken wardrobes, furniture, things that I don't even know what to call them. So it was just a mess. But we salvaged certain things. We found shelving. We found some kind of furniture that we could sort of clean up and make a library from. And we did, and you can find all these sort of pictures and things on our website, which you'll see the link for at the end, or I'll just say the link. So we built the library, and since then we've been running little workshops in the school just to continue that kind of creativity that comes from picking the books that you want to read from rather than being given them, which is part of the reason why we started this. And then we've got the university tours. So we've organised 2 tours now. There's one that happened last year about this time, and one that happened yesterday, which is we bring some of the school girls from the university to around different departments, and that really raised the aspirations, because this particular school that we're working in Sheffield is not a normal school. The community, and there's a lot of cultural barriers that inhibit these girls from choosing what they want to do. They don't realise the opportunities that they have within them, and our job was to sort of open their mind, not to sort of control or say what is better for them, but just to make them open-minded, to know what options they have. And these university tours are having a fantastic effect on these girls. Then there's a Little Dragons project, which you saw some of the outcomes of in the video, which is an entrepreneurial challenge for the school. So we give the young people £20, and they have to come up with ideas of products they can make, and see what they do with it. But the emphasis throughout the whole project was never money at all. It was all about teamwork, how you guys can work together, and that's the actual aim of the project. And what happened after this? So actually, we were stacking through many months and almost years of sort of work. This is a little code breakers where someone approached us. We had a meeting in that room. Someone in the maths department had an idea that they wanted to do a workshop with young people on how to program games and all sorts of things. So we worked with this person, his name is Desire, and we invited him to the school, and he developed his own project. So Right2Education is not just about us doing what we want to do, but it's about welcoming other people who have ideas and want to benefit and believe what we believe, and we can sort of support that action. What happened next? Again, the university tour trip. So actually, we technically yesterday in the sort of journey of things. There's the acceleration course, which is actually another lesson to draw. Justina had a really good example of how she benefited, or allowed, what was that lady's name? Pfizer, yeah, Pfizer. Initially meeting Pfizer and sort of building up her confidence, and then Pfizer actually doing her own thing, and that's amazing. And that's one of the difficulties with social enterprises. We find that the people who are most passionate are the ones who lead, but then what happens when they disappear, or they graduate, or they work stars, they get married, I don't know. What happens then? Where does that passion go? Can you get somebody to continue this? And one of the ideas that we had to to face this sort of issue is this acceleration course. Because we have so many projects running simultaneously, we actually found that we could get a volunteer, find out what skills they already have and what skills they want to develop, and then basically push them into the deep water of different projects. So if they wanted to learn how to do public speaking, we'll make them do an assembly. If they wanted to learn how to do interviews or interpersonal skills, put them in the Big Sister project, or actually do a video interview. And that way they actually develop their skills a lot faster than is normally allowed for, and then they can maybe help us in leading Right2Education to new fronts. Okay. And we've also got an educational impact workshop again, this time with Malika, the SU education officer. She'll be going into the school. And also we've got the Big Sports Day project, which is the girls are, like I said, the Little Dragons project is all about teamwork. This is also about teamwork, but it's also with a touch of event management. The girls in Oxford High School are going to design their own sports day. And the school doesn't have any equipment for actual sports facilities and things. So this project is allow them to raise their own money for their own equipment, so they can have their PE lessons as every other kid is expected to do, as you might have done and I did. And these girls can benefit as well. And I'll skip this one. This is the future of our ideas. Like I said, we're sort of leaving. Some of us are graduated and living in other places. We're developing a coaching project which works as a sort of get somebody who is aspiring to become, let's say, pretend a dentist, and then finds a dentist who is already working and can give them some support in their personal statement, because that's what we need sometimes. You know, we just need someone who's like an older brother or older sister to support each other. And that support is so easy for me to give, and it's so valuable to the person who receives it. And all of us have benefited from other people, and it's this idea of giving back that this project's all about. So far we've had 43 volunteers over 2.5 years, and we've benefited over 90 young people. And it's still counting because our projects keep continuing and new projects are coming. So let's take an overview of what we're looking at here, and I want to just draw a point which is about here on the sort of journey of things, and the main point, actually there's 3 points I want to make. The first point is perseverance. At this point, when we just sort of started, it's just this point, we're about to start the Big Sister project. There were so many times I wanted to give up, you have no idea. It's ridiculous how many times I just thought, you know what, forget it. I had call meetings and often nobody turned up, and I'm sitting there on my own, like in a cafe, and that happened not once but multiple times. And I think just you guys know, I'm gonna know this experience. And at one point I was just thinking, you know, there's no point continuing. This is not going to work. I had an idea, but it's not working. Fine, okay. But something inside me kind of told me that it's about actually, you know, maybe this might just slightly work, and maybe if I'm not the one to actually take it forward and continue, it might be somebody else who does it. So I'll just carry on, and just completely blind to what's going to happen. I just carried on, and with my team, we actually did make it to develop a long-term thing. So that's one of the main points I wanted to raise. The other one is organic development, which is something I'm sort of mentioning in the interview, which is all about people to get this tendency to rush. You know, they hear these big numbers like £5,000 is coming in, and they kind of want to jump ahead and get all that £5,000. But really, you have to think about not just the finances, but your human resources and the actual point of what you want to do. More is not better. And I was speaking to someone from the Charity Commission, and he said that people always think this, more is always better, but no, it's not. It's about quality, not quantity, and that's why it's easy to get hyped up about little application forms and things, but just really think about why are you doing something, which is actually my last final point, which is about intentions, and don't jump into finding applications and things if you feel you can't actually deal with that. Because one of the things, actually I won't go into too much, you can ask me questions about organic development, I can go on about for hours. But the last kind of point I mentioned was intentions. Now, intentions is something that maybe might not associate with something like this that much, but I think it's absolutely crucial. Your intentions from start to finish, and maybe not finish, maybe just carries on, but has to, there's something about your intentions, and the intentions is something that allowed this project to develop and to go to the next stage. We had an interview in a room beyond that wall, and we were applying for funding. I actually applied for £220 or something, and after the session, USE actually gave us £500. So within a few minutes, things completely changed, and that's because intention is something that people can detect on somebody, and it also is the reason why lots of people might want to volunteer with you, because if your intentions are for good, then people recognize that, and then they take that on, and they'll join forces with you, and you can continue your project. If your intentions are slightly off, maybe at this point you start, about this point you start thinking about, you're standing in front of a whole bunch of amazing people, and you're thinking, oh, look how great I am, and standing here talking to you guys, educating you. No, that's the mistake. If you start thinking like that, your whole idea of the reason why you start, the heart behind your project will fall apart, because you have allowed for your intentions to change, and that's very important, and that's the final point. So we had perseverance when things are tough, starting out, when you start to develop things, think about what you're doing, remember your intentions, and make sure your intentions don't get changed at the end. Thank you very much.